How does writing feel for you? Is it something like what Norman Mailer said about writing? Writing is the closest thing to boxing. In both, you have to be disciplined, focused, and ready to take a hit. This quote by Norman Mailer, I believe, best articulates the feeling of writing most accurately. What do you think? Writing and boxing are more similar than different. Resilience, discipline, and mental toughness are needed in both art forms, but there is one more thing that helps put it all together. And that thing can be found in the Filipino word DitO, which means here. DitO is the title of a film that opened in Japan during the summer of 2024, and it's a film that I hope more people will get to see. I have to admit, when I first saw advertising in Tokyo for the film, I wasn't sure what to expect. Would it just be another boxing film, or did it have something else to offer? When I found out, however, that one of the greatest boxers of all time, Manny Pacquiao, was in the film, I immediately headed to the ticket machine at the theater it was playing in and got myself a ticket to watch this film. And I was happy to find that this film turned out to be one of the great films of 2024. In his directorial debut, Takashi Yuki, who also stars, tells the fictional story of Kamiyama Eiji, a professional boxer from Japan who moves to the Philippines to pursue a career as a boxer. After his wife leaves him, taking their daughter Momoko with her, and later at the age of 40, he struggles to make his boxing comeback. His life takes a dramatic turn, however, when his estranged daughter, now 17, Momoko, arrives with news of her mother's death. Their reunion is fraught with tension as they navigate their complicated relationship amidst the emotional turmoil. Eiji gets an opportunity for a pivotal boxing match, which could be his last chance to prove himself. DitO is a drama and sports film that explores themes of redemption, family, and the challenges of balancing personal and professional life. The film is indeed a heartfelt journey that delves into the complexities of parent-child relationships and the resilience needed to overcome life's challenges. While the cinematography by Kei Ikeda is something to marvel about, for its beauty and bringing out the diverse landscape of the Philippines, it's the unique structure of the film that I'd like to share with you in this video that I believe makes DitO a unique and enlightening experience, which can also serve as a reference for any writer here. To illustrate what I mean, there was something I heard a while back by legendary bassist Bootsy Collins about how to play bass in funk music, which I believe is a great comparison to how the film's structure works. This funk formula is something that we as writers could emulate in our own writing. In terms of playing funk bass, Bootsy Collins emphasizes the importance of hitting the root note on the first beat of every bar, a fundamental principle in funk music. This technique helps to anchor the groove and maintain a solid rhythmic foundation. By consistently returning to the root note, you create a sense of stability and drive that is essential for funk bass lines, while at the same time giving players the freedom to play freely in between the root notes. Please check out the link in the description to see Bootsy Collins himself explain and demonstrate the funk formula. The principle of returning to the root note on the first beat of each bar is also applicable to jazz, which the soundtrack of the film consists of rather than the likes of the pop rock or hip hop that were in the Rocky and Creed films respectively. In jazz too, the bassist often plays the root note on the downbeat to clearly outline the chord progression and provide a strong harmonic foundation. This helps to anchor the rhythm and guide the harmonic flow of the piece. In a similar way, the narrative flow of DitO does have this idea of sorts, of returning to the root note throughout its jumping from one incident to another. Furthermore, because there wasn't a clear outward goal for Eiji the boxer to work towards during the first act and the majority of the second act, These incidences could have seemed to have little to do with each other than giving us a picture of Eiji's life as a boxer and as an immigrant in the Philippines. While each situation that Eiji and his daughter Momoko were both in differed in many ways. For example, there were scenes that ranged from training at the gym to walking through the streets of Manila or catching fish with a net in pristine blue waters, just to name a few. It was through the tension between Eiji and Momoko trying to reconnect after a long time apart that the scenes were given a sense of story happening in itself in each scene of the film. So, even though not having an outward pursuit in Act 1, like chasing a championship title like most films about boxing, DitO instead is an inward journey of reconciling with the past and taking on a path of mental and emotional recovery that permeated throughout the film, from its beginning and all the way to its end. Furthermore, with the way the inward journey happens alongside with how the mind works, with its only resource, memories, especially those that we feel strong emotion from, the mind can hit and hurt us hard like a boxer's punch, because the inward journey can be a messy, complex, and punishing undertaking. It is then that the root note of the film, like the root note of a bass line in funk music, that can help us to bring all of the parts of the story into a whole cinematic symphony, which can bring out the best music in us as well as our writing. What then is the root note of the film DitO? The root note in the film, I believe, is in the moments between Eiji and his daughter Momoko, doing something simple together quietly. Since they were apart for so long, being back together doing regular family things took on a deeper level of importance in not only healing their relationship but healing themselves within. When the film goes to moments like these is what I think is the root note, like the root note in a piece of music. It reminds us of what key the film is in and who these characters are fundamentally. A family of a father and his daughter away from home, having primarily each other in building a new life elsewhere that they can also call home. This root note was established from the opening of the film, where the camera puts us inside a darkened room without a single detail of the walls within. The camera then moves slowly toward a window where we see the backs of Eiji and his teenage daughter Momoko standing outside in the daylight. We don't see their faces, but we find that they are neither looking at each other nor in conversation. Instead, they are looking up at an array of colorful houses up a lush mountaintop in the Philippines, perhaps in such awe that they couldn't help but be quiet to soak in the moment together. In this opening shot is encompassed the root note, the circumstances, the foundation, and aspirations of the two main characters in this story. Furthermore, that they are not looking at each other in this opening shot is an important detail in comparison to the final shot of the film, which also involves Eiji and Momoko. Comparing the opening scene of DitO to its final scene gives us a clearer picture of how to put the film's events together, and how the film goes beyond straight linear progression and more into emotional progression as its main narrative. In the final scene, Eiji has just finished his pivotal boxing match, bloodied and bruised, his daughter Momoko there in his corner, and they say in Japanese what other families in Japan would say when a member of their family returns home: Okaeri and Tadaima. Translated in English, I'm home and welcome back respectively. These two scenes, and the ones similar to them at several times in the film, of just Eiji and Momoko together doing simple things that families do that we might take for granted because they are so commonplace. Looking at the lens of family through Eiji and Momoko, we can see how important and special these simple things can truly be. These scenes being the root note of the film then results in the strength of DitO as a film, in that it is in its feel that it evokes in the same way that music does not, because it follows a strict sense of logic. On the contrary, logic makes no sense at all in music. Instead, it is in its feel that we find meaning. In DitO, the root note of the film, the shared moments between Eiji and Momoko being a family, doing simple family things together in a peaceful quiet, like, most notably, When Momoko watches her father quietly train at the gym, not saying anything or doing anything to disturb him, but her presence there as a reassurance that he is not alone, the same way he felt when his wife left him. And then the other moments, such as sharing a table together quietly eating a meal that Momoko had prepared after the work she put in to learn the local language of the Philippines and how to navigate its landscape, which has become her home. It's in these moments that stabilize all the varying notes of the color and cacophony of the boxer's life and the city of Manila with its busy marketplaces, the slums and skyscrapers that exist side by side, cheering crowds and roaring street traffic that later become a symphony that harmonizes with the calm resilience power of daily life activities done together, like a father and his daughter putting the fractured pieces of their life together into a cohesive unit, no matter the circumstances they had found and would find themselves encountering. So, in spite of all the disappointments and struggles throughout the film that Eiji and Momoko face, it's not about happiness through material gain. It's not about winning a title that is at the heart of the story. Instead, it's about friends and family seeing you back home, whether it be a house or the spirit of a fighter. In one of the great parts of DitO, we see Eiji's friend Sese, played by Mon Confiado, helping Eiji train for his upcoming match, and happy to see his friend focused at every step of his mental and emotional return. DitO is more than a boxing film. It's about the healing power of simple things like tidying up the place you live in, going to work and coming home. It's also about doing difficult but rewarding things like learning another culture and another way of life. And ultimately, alongside the resilience, discipline, and mental toughness needed in art forms like boxing and writing, DitO is about embodying a type of language that words would just fail to express. It's about presence, about being present in the moment of what you're doing. This important journey we all must take is best articulated by Indian guru Osho, who had said, "From nowhere to now here." Or in other words, the Filipino word that is the title of this film, DitO, translated in English, here. DitO is one of the best films of 2024. It may not move as linearly like most Hollywood films try to do, but it is more moving than many Hollywood films, especially in 2024. Like a bass player returning to the root note in funk or jazz music, I'm sure you'll be returning to see this film after seeing it. Thanks for sharing this time with me. Now, let's go do some writing.